Hi. So today we're going to be making something that's not my usual easy peasy, quick, but it's not difficult. It's a little tedious. It's definitely, I recommend trying it even if you're a novice. However, I recommend trying it after you watch the America's Test Kitchen video that I will link to this one. That is where I got this idea from. But every time I make it, I have to consult the video for the little details. And I thought I'm going to try today to just make it from how I remember. In all fairness, I did have to look and check one thing out, and that is that I'm currently in the oven heating up is my cast iron skillet. You have to preheat it by putting it on the lowest shelf in the oven cold and then setting the oven to 500 until the oven's preheated to 500, which is about a half an hour. It's been in there a little longer than a half an hour, but I wanted to be ready with this before I pulled it out. And in case I forget, because when I start panicking, thinking about trying to remember numbers, I forget. When you take out the cast iron, put the put the oven down to 450 for the cooking of the chicken, which will then be 30 minutes in the oven. So we're going to spatchcock it, which means removing the back and flattening it. I have a bag ready with some of the insides already in there for to save for chicken stock and soup. It's tedious, and the people who do it on TV make it look so easy. I know my scissors are not the sharpest in the block, but they're also not terribly dull. And even before that, I struggled when they were brand new. And the other day, honestly, I saw Jamie Oliver do it with a knife. Like, I couldn't believe it. So I have it breast side down because I'm going to come in the back. The spine is up the middle. I'm going to come right to either side, whichever first. I choose to do right first. So I have the little thing here that was their, I don't know what, their bend of the spine. And I'm just going to cut, and there's bones. You're going to be cutting through bones. And as far as I know, I'm not doing it wrong. It's just, I don't know. It's a little harder. And I wanted you to see this part, even though it's not going to be pretty. But see, it comes along. Oh, it's also still a wee bit frozen in there. That's odd. This shouldn't matter. Preferably, it shouldn't be frozen at all, but it's not like we're putting it in hot oil or anything. And I brought it out of today's Friday. I brought it out of the freezer on Monday. Yeah, it must have been close to the back of our fridge where it maintains coldness. So anyway, then get to the end here. I see there's a bone in the way. Just go around it. It can stay. And this is another piece that should be in there. And this part's a little easier because you can look on the inside. See, look at that, all that crystally frozen stuff. Come on up in there. I can't believe Jamie Oliver did this with just a knife up the center. I'm so impressed with him right now. I like him anyway. He's a good cook, and he seems like a good guy. And I think there might be, if for people who really know this, now they would have said something on America's Test Kitchen. They're very thorough. If there's a way to cut around the bones as opposed to going through them. Anyway, so there you go. See, it is doable, and it didn't take terribly long. And I've got this spine, which goes in here for freezer. It's a big enough bag where I can add more as I do things. The holidays are coming. I'll have turkey parts, and I can make a nice stock. And I have some paper towels here to wipe off the inside and get this crystallized, this icy frozen ice. Yeah, that needed to be said twice. To get the ice out, dry it off a little. I'm going to need more paper towels. It's best to do this when you want something crispy and it's going into a hot pan to sear, fry, whatever any of the words are for crispy, crisp up. It's best that there's as little moisture as possible. So I'm going to lay it out here. Now it's flat, and you have to press down the keel bone, he said, which is to flatten the chest part out. So just with your hands like that. I prepared ahead. I have a paper towel around the oil. They, in this recipe, and most people, and most of the time, use olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, which I'm out of. I think I mentioned not too long ago that I needed to get some. I was going through it and I was running out and I hadn't yet. I'm going to try hazelnut oil, which I happen to have in the fridge. And I already pre-mixed salt and pepper together, so I can just do this. Now, salt it this time, which is something you don't normally get to do on both sides. So, as he said in the video, you get access to all the seasoning, all this meat on the inside that you don't normally get to do when you are just roasting it or however else you might fry a whole or cook a whole chicken. Deep frying it. We have done that before, kind of like the turkeys. It's very popular. Everybody loves it in my family. I think it's just, I mean, it's good. It's just like the turkey as well. I think it's just like a cooked. And then flip it back over to the skin side, outside. This isn't necessary, and it sometimes feels like it's hard to do. Tuck the wings under just to keep them, see, they don't ever really go under for me, so I don't really sweat it. And then drizzle a tablespoon. You don't need to be terribly precise. Too much isn't really going to hurt. Of oil on the outside. The inside, it's not necessary. That'll be fine. Then I need to quick wash my hands because I have to go touch get the thing out of the pan out of the oven, which is going to be screaming hot. You have to be very careful at this point. It's been in there. It's 500 degrees hot and a big heavy cast iron. So, what else I need to do? And I lowered the oven to 450. No, I did not. See, I said so, and I didn't. Oh, I said when I got it out right. Actually turned it off, so I'm starting from scratch, going up to 450. But it's already preheated, so it's good. I'm going to get this over here. I will be able to use that, the salt and pepper, for maybe the vegetables that I'm going to cook. Yeah, I'm going to cook some vegetables. I'll use it for that. You don't have to. I mean, it's salt and pepper. None of it's really expensive. You can throw it in the trash. That'll be fine. Anyway, I do have these two devices. I'm not even going to use this, though, because then I got to pull it back off. I think we've discussed this before, to put on the handle of a cast iron. But that's really just fancy dancy at this point because it's gone right back in the oven and the handle can't stay on the handle cover. So I have got a screaming hot cast iron. The oven has been turned down to 450. I'm going to put this. Now I'm going to use a towel next time, not my pot holders, because I have to touch the chicken. And that'll work. Skin side. Make sure you can see that whole thing. This is going in, skin side down. Make sure it's all touching. Nice and back in the oven, 30 minutes. Hey Google, set a timer for 30 minutes. Now I'm going to wash my hands real quick, and we're going to make the oil that we're going to put on it, seasoning oil. That will be ready when it comes out. I wasn't going to film this at first, but then I thought, you could watch and you could determine that looks tedious and I don't want to, or that looks interesting. Before you decide in the negative, though, I would strongly recommend watching the America's Test Kitchen video. They're professionals. They will give you such a much clearer idea of what is and what isn't, and better filming and the whole shebang. So anyway, we are now ready for, I guess, I don't know, the flavoring oil, the finishing oil. It's going to go on. After it comes out of the oven, it gets flipped over and put back in the oven, but not for a very long amount of time at that point. I'm going to say 10 minutes. Um, it calls for garlic. In this case, fresh garlic is definitely going to make a difference. This is not a frozen garlic or powdered garlic type of thyme. I like garlic, so I'm going to go with, and these cloves aren't terribly big, so I'm going to go with, that's not a very big, oh, also important, not over 4 pounds of 3 to 4 pound chicken. I find it's very hard to find small chickens these days. The smallest I can generally find is 3.5 pounds, and I will always buy the smallest I can find because one chicken is generally a good meal for the two of us, and frequently there's leftovers, but not a lot that I'll have for a lunch the next day. Anything bigger than 4 pounds and it takes up too much space, and it makes a very big, horrible mess in your oven. So not bigger. And I even thought, because I have a much bigger cast iron, that I would use that and do like a 5 pound chicken, but no, it was just a smoky mess. It splattered all over the place. He explained in the video that the sides are a little higher in a cast iron, so it keeps it contained, but it definitely works better with a little bit of a smaller chicken, so between 3 and 4 pounds. So I'm going to stick with the 2 cloves of garlic, and I need a knife to just to peel it. I am going to use my garlic mincer, and this is a good one that is probably the most practical one I've ever owned, and still a pain in the ass. This is just a job that is annoying to me. So we'll just do that, and I will tell you a funny story while I'm doing this. I make, if I can find the video, I'll attach that too. At Easter, I make butter lambs. There's a video I found that a woman was making one that was child friendly, so it was very easy. It was a good project to do with children. And it was indeed, and it makes a kind of a cute butter lamb. The first year I made it, I thought it was adorable, and I had my old there's a little bit of dried up on this. This garlic press that wasn't shaped like this, and you use room temperature butter that you have to run through the garlic press to make the woolly tendrils. And this one is shaped like this, so when you have greasy, buttery hands, it likes to do this. It was a hilarious adventure, to say the least. The butter lamb looked much wonkier than he had in the previous year, but it was still cute. I don't know how to attach pictures, otherwise I would. If I can figure it out, I'll show you, because I still have one. I still have one on my phone. I sometimes use it as my lock screen because I think it's hilarious. It looks more like a butter sheepdog, but I mean, it's adorable. And it was made with love. And as I say, that's the important part about all of this. We make it for love, to feed the people we love. And that makes everything just so much better. And this is also dishwasher friendly, which is good. So that was 2 cloves of garlic. If you really like garlic, you can you put as much as you want or as little as you want. I would recommend, unless you are allergic to it or just really, really hate it or it makes you sick, at least a little bit of garlic, 1 little clove, because it just is something about the flavor. It just is something. So anyway, this can go into, I think this has to go in the laundry. Yeah. That's not where my laundry is. I just threw it on the floor. The laundry room is that way. This can go in the dishwasher. We have our little bit of garlic in there, well, our 2 cloves. And the original recipe calls for rosemary, which I am not fond of. No shade to rosemary. I think it's a beautiful plant, and I love the way it smells. I always put it in my garden, but I don't care for the taste of it in food. Although I accidentally bought one of those chomps. Actually, I think it was a store brand knockoff chomp from Wegmans that I didn't realize it was turkey. And I was shopping and I was hungry and I wanted to have a snack. So I grabbed one of those, and I didn't realize it was rosemary, turkey and rosemary flavored. And I thought it was so good. It had the best flavor. And I'm like, I wonder if I like rosemary now. I don't recall what the measurement on the oil for this was, but not a lot. Tablespoon probably. And garlic, and I chose to use thyme. I substitute thyme whenever they call for rosemary. And it always seems to work. I'm sure there might come a time when I'm think, oh, I'll figure something anyway. If you know what you like and you know a little bit about what you're making, you'll be able to pick your own substitute. I don't know a measure to give you because I'm just going to do a lot because rosemary is pretty mild or thyme is pretty mild. So about that much. I would say that's probably a teaspoon of thyme in there. And I don't recall if there was any more salt or pepper. Probably not because there's plenty on the chicken. And that's it. We'll put this on there when we bring it out. And I will show you when we come back in probably 25 minutes then. All right, so it's been 30 minutes, maybe 33. I had a little bit of an accident. I'll get this out and talk to you about it as I'm preparing the rest of it. I think I mentioned once before that I keep my camera in a makeshift tripod stand that's actually in a jar full of floral stones, I guess you'd call them, the things you put in a vase with flowers at the bottom for decoration and maybe to help keep the flowers in the arrangement. And I knocked it over, and fortunately the only food on the counter was the oil, so I was rushing to make another batch because I don't know what those stones are. They're weird, metallic-y, probably some kind of kryptonite or something. So anyway, after 30 minutes it comes out, and we're going to flip it so that it's crisp and very lovely right now, and then when we flip it, it will dry out any kind of moisture that might have accumulated from sitting in that position with the steam, especially now that it's out. And I need a spatula. I don't want to lose all that skin to the bottom. So this part is not even remotely as tedious as it seems. And then you flip it over and look how beautiful that is. And the skin always comes up a little. See, it could use like a little more crisping. So now is also the time that we're going to put the oil on that we made. Tablespoon of oil, teaspoon, tablespoon of an herb of your choice, really, and minced garlic. And we're just going to spoon it over. And did I say olive oil? I do happen to be out of olive oil at this point. So I tried hazelnut, and I will say hazelnut has a flavor. It's not a flavorless oil. If you don't have olive oil, I would recommend canola or vegetable. I don't know what else is a flavorless oil. I think grapeseed might be, although I don't know if that's something people commonly have around. Anyway, just put this oil on and rub the garlic around. Now it's going to go back into the oven for 10 more minutes, and then just to dry out, even up, crisp up a little more, and I will explain to you as soon as I get it back in the oven. I just put on top of the stove shortly after that some carrots, which I forgot to keep an eye on because I was rushing to clean up the stones. I put a little bit of grapeseed oil, not the hazelnut oil in there. And I'm going to put them back on the stove. They're a little juicier than I would have liked. I prefer a little bit crisper. So I'm just going to make some nice little carrots. And I was going to put this, shoot, I forgot. You know what? I am going to, real quick, I was supposed to do this. This is not part of the recipe as per the America's Test Kitchen. They won't. They just show you how to make the chicken. I have just a bag, the chicken rice, so I don't have to bother flavoring it. I'm just going to sprinkle it around here because it will very much get warmed in 10 minutes. And don't worry if you get it on top of, or you could just scrape it off. This is an experiment. I've never done this before. We'll see together how this is going to be. Just to, when I'm cooking like this, sometimes I feel like I would like it all to make it as like almost as few pots as necessary. I've mentioned this before, though, you know. I don't want to have 12 pots, 14 steps, 7 hours later, dinner. Anyway, 10 minutes. And then we'll bring it out. Hey, Google, set a timer for 10 minutes. And I'll be back to show you. And maybe carve it up. I don't know. We'll see. Nah, probably not. Anyway, I'll see you then. Okay, so the 10-minute timer just went off. The carrots are done. I'm going to get the chicken out of the oven first, though, before we talk about the carrots. Okay. So the chicken looks delicious. It smells excellent. The rice looks like it even maybe will have a little crisp on the bottom. We got to see that it's a good temperature in the thigh, never close to the bone. I don't know if I've ever said that before. Sometimes it's difficult. It's like, well, how with some things, how do you get away from the bone? And it is 165. Let's see what the breast is. 2 degrees less. Yeah, it's fine. It's good. And nothing's coming out of it. So that's good. The rice looks like it's going to be delicious. The thing why I picked the chicken rice is because I didn't have time, or this being an experiment, didn't have a plan to. I'm going to turn the oven off because it's hot in here. Didn't have a plan to, I don't know, I need to tell you that, season it or anything. And the chicken, although not my favorite, it is good enough and it's seasoned. And the carrots, I just use salt and pepper and grapeseed oil as opposed to hazelnut because I'm not sure how that flavor is going to be. Although I doubt it doesn't smell strong. I tasted it before I used it. It didn't taste particularly strong. But I salted and peppered the carrots well. And the secret is when you're home cooking and you're just like trying to do a fast meal and maybe without a lot of expertise, that you make sure it tastes good or you won't eat it. And you'll turn to a pizza or a submarine sandwich or some kind of takeout. So always make sure you season everything. Like don't ever just throw a bag of unseasoned carrots in a bowl and microwave them and expect that you're going to enjoy it, because you won't. You have to garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, a little bit of butter if you want, whatever it takes to eat homemade over prefab. And I think we've looked in the past to see that the chicken rice isn't terribly processed anyway. Things from Aldi's always tend to be. I read this before, I don't know where, and so I can't speak to the accuracy of it, but I don't know. I want it to make sense, so I'm going to pretend it does. They're a German company, and European food rules are a lot different than American, so they can't just throw anything in food, or they just don't like to. Chicken, garlic powder, parsley, salt, turmeric, vitamin B3, citric acid, onion, carrot, canola oil, sunflower. That's what's in this. Water, rice, Thai parboiled rice, chicken flavor, garlic powder, parsley, salt, turmeric powder, vitamin B3. I don't know. Citric acid. I think that, yeah, we know what that is. Onion, carrot, canola oil, sunflower. Oh, that is not bad. It does say it may contain coconut. So that's not terrible. And just salt and pepper, and like I said, a little garlic powder if you prefer something a little more seasoning. Onion, you could put some of your herb, whatever you use on this, in there so they have a similar flavor profile, or just a tiny drizzle of honey. Honey carrots, always good. Just use what you got and be experimental. Or, if you're wondering, and sometimes I know you can be experimental with herbs and spices and it's not the right thing, look it up, Google it. There's lots of, hang on one second. Hey, Google, set a timer for 10 minutes. There's lots of resources out there for what kind of spices work well on carrots, or even just look at a quick recipe and see what basics are in it as far as the seasonings go. Anyway, so you leave this sit uncovered for 10 minutes just to let the juices redistribute, and it's already cut in half pretty much, so it's kind of self-explanatory how, it doesn't matter. Cutting it apart is easy. It's not like you'll need to have a tutorial on that. Although I think they do show you how if you watch the America's Test Kitchen video, but if you choose not to, just cut it up. It'll be fine. And I won't bother you with coming back to tell you how good it was, because I've never not had this that it wasn't delicious. If the hazelnut oil was weird, I'll make a comment. I'll put it in the comments somewhere when I put the video up. But otherwise, I'm sure it's going to be delicious. Enjoy.